Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini episode, I have two stories involving alien beings, folks, that we'll be discussing today. We'll start off with the first article titled, Alberta Woman Recalls Terrifying Alien Abduction Experience Near Fort Saskatchewan, and then we'll talk about future humans who might be aliens. Either way, let's get into this article now and read entirely what happened. In 2017, Mountain Beast Mysteries documented the strange experiences of Emily Manderson, a young tattoo artist from Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, who described a series of terrifying nighttime encounters involving shadowy beings, a gray alien-like face, physical after effects, and later UFO activity near Bon Accord. What makes this case especially compelling is Emily's own uncertainty. Was this a vivid sequence of sleep paralysis episodes, or was this something else intruding into her bedroom? Let's read the case file that goes into a few more details. Case type, alien abduction experience, bedroom visitation, sleep paralysis, UFO sighting, witness Emily Manderson. Location, Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, Canada. Additional location referenced Bon Accord, Alberta. Original time frame, the first major incident reportedly occurred in October 2013. Documented by Justin Chebenbitsky, Mountain Beast Mysteries. Source, alien abduction or sleep paralysis. Short, Alien, a documentary, 2017. Primary phenomena, paralysis, bright light, vibration, shadow beings, gray alien entity, possible levitation, bruising, nausea, UFO sighting. Secondary family account, mother's childhood crop circle-like discovery in southwestern Ontario. That gives us a few details about this story, folks, and, they really go into some detail just a bit, don't they? Either way, let's get into the actual witness testimony, folks, and hear exactly how all of this went down. According to Emily Manderson, my first major experience happened in October 2013. I woke up in my bed feeling completely normal, but I realized that I could not move. At first, I panicked. I tried to move anyway, and although it was extremely difficult, I was eventually able to bring my knees up to my chest, roll onto my side, and get my feet onto the floor. I remember feeling the cold floorboards under my feet. Then I saw a bright light coming through my bedroom window. After that, I felt a force push me back into the bed. Everything began to buzz and vibrate. My bedroom door swung open, and there were three tall black silhouettes that floated into my room. They came closer to me and stood beside my bed, looking down on and at me. They seemed angry. Okay. That's interesting, folks. Usually with these kinds of accounts, the alien beings usually want the abductee to basically feel calm. But continuing, then my jaw stretched open. The buzzing and vibration continued, and I began to feel myself being lifted toward the ceiling. I fought it as hard as I could, because the first thing that came into my mind was, I'm getting abducted by aliens. At that moment, it was the only thing that made sense. I remember being lifted so close to the ceiling that my nose touched it. Then I suddenly snapped back into bed, and that is where I woke up. That's interesting, folks. In a lot of accounts of people being abducted when they're levitated, usually their faces are very close to the ceiling, almost as if they are touching. It's a detail that I've seen before. It's very strange. But we will discuss that point after we read the rest of the article. When I came fully awake, I felt extremely nauseous. I ran to the bathroom and started throwing up. I also had bruises all over my legs, including my thighs and inner thighs. Afterward, I searched online for anything that could explain what happened. That was when I found information about sleep paralysis and hypnagogic hallucinations. At that time, that seemed like the only explanation that made any sense. My second experience was extremely disturbing. I was laying in bed on my side when my blankets lifted above me and began rotating. I could see between the blanket and the mattress, and there was a face there. It was white-gray with huge, deep black eyes. The eyes remind me of a great white shark's eyes. I could feel it breathing on me and touching me. After that, I do not remember anything else. So, the alien being's eyes were like a doll's eyes, wouldn't you say? Either way, here's a painting or a drawing the witness had of the experience. Very odd. And I could see from one point why she would basically think as the blanket was spinning over her, why she believes she could see the alien through it with the way it was spinning and stuff like that. Either way, let's continue. My third experience was much more vague. It felt more like a lucid dream than the first two experiences. I vaguely remember being thrown across my room and into my stand. I remember lying on my side, then waking up in bed. In the experience, I had been thrown across the room into a mirror and was laying on the ground. My mother, Jan, said that at first she and my father thought I might be making it up to scare them, almost like a campfire story. Over the years, they sometimes joked about it. Sometimes I laughed with them, but other times I became upset and cried. My mother remembered hearing me crying or whimpering during the night. She would check on me, and I would tell her I was fine, but she felt there was something more to it. My mother also had an unusual experience when she was younger. She was about 8 years old, living in southwestern Ontario in an old abandoned farmhouse that her father had renovated. The house was surrounded by cornfields, soybean fields, wheat, and other crops. One day, while walking around the house, she found a perfectly groomed circle in the field. She said it looked almost like a crop circle. Her father suggested that a bear may have lain there, but she felt there was no way an animal could have made such a perfectly formed circle. Here we have a picture that the abductee did again of the alien beings she saw. Looks like a typical gray alien, if only a little more terrifying, though there's some other aspects I'll discuss later, folks. Let's get back to the article. Sometime later, I also had a UFO sighting outside while having a cigarette. I looked toward Bon Accord, Alberta, and saw 3 saucer-shaped objects in the sky. They moved in a wavy direction. They would light up for about 3 seconds, die down for about 3 seconds, and then light up again. There was no sound. It was eerie, and I did not sleep that night because I was afraid something might happen to me again while I was asleep. I still do not know what to think. Part of me wants to believe it was sleep paralysis because that would be easier to accept, but the feeling I had that night was insane. I know people can hallucinate during sleep paralysis, but I experienced physical things too that makes it very hard for me to say it was only a dream. Even now, when I have sleep paralysis, it is usually small and insignificant, but it still shocks me and leaves me paranoid because I do not know whether it is all in my head or whether they are trying to come after me again. And I can believe that she basically would feel that way, folks, after her experiences. Terrifying. But let's move on to the next article titled, Are Aliens Actually Future Humans, Time Travelers, UFOs, Greys, and the Human Origin Mystery? Let's read this article and to discuss this fascinating subject now, folks, because it sounds good. So, let's see where we go from here. For decades, experiencers have described humanoid beings, greys, reptilians, mantis-like intelligences, and other entities that seem both alien and disturbingly familiar. This report examines a controversial possibility. What if some of these beings are not extraterrestrials from distant star systems, but evolved humans from our own future or from another branch of human existence? The idea has gained several people basically looking into it. Or as the article puts it, folks, renewed attention through the work of Dr. Michael P. Masters, a biological anthropologist at Montana Technological University who has written extensively on the extraterrestrial or extraterrestrial models the theory that UFO occupants may be future human descendants studying their own evolutionary past, which, does sound very interesting, folks. So, the extraterrestrial extraterrestrial model, folks, which is basically different from extraterrestrial, because if they're extraterrestrial, that means they're basically from the future and stuff like that. But let's read the case file now. Case type, UFO time travel theory, future human hypothesis, experiencer phenomenology, primary theme, are reported alien beings actually evolved humans, associated figures, Dr. Michael P. Masters, John Titor, Jacques Vallée, John Keel. Primary locations referenced Earth, Montana Technological University, online forums, 1975, IBM 5100 timeline claim. Phenomenon involved greys, reptilians, humanoids, time travel, wormholes, craft-based temporal displacement, ancient civilizations, human origins. Status, speculative, theoretical, comparative, fortune analysis. Let's read the actual article now. I have long subscribed to the theory that the alien beings described by experiencers, including greys, reptilians, and other humanoid entities, may not be extraterrestrials in the conventional sense. They may be evolved humans from the future or from another existence that developed in parallel to our own. These beings may have learned to travel through time either by using wormholes, advanced craft, or a form of technology that we are not yet capable of understanding. I also believe that humans are a universal species. The humanoid form may exist throughout this universe and possibly in other universes as well. In my view, many of these humanoid beings could have descended from an original human faction or from a source population that predates what we understand as the human race on Earth. I do not believe that humanity completely evolved on this planet in isolation. I do wholeheartedly agree with that statement, folks. Because if you look at these alien beings as they exist, they have a human element to them that is certainly something that you cannot, basically say no to. But we'll discuss that later. Let's get back to this fascinating article. A professor at Montana Tech has presented a similar possibility. Dr. Michael Masters, whose background includes biological anthropology, human evolutionary anatomy, archaeology, and biomedicine, has argued that UFO occupants may not be aliens at all. Instead, they may be our descendants from the future, returning to study humans and their own evolutionary past. When we look at humanity from the earliest peoples to the present day, a troubling pattern emerges. Human beings rose from a minimal stage of development to our current technological level, but that advancement came at a cost. We hunted, multiplied, expanded, seized land, built nations, and often destroyed the natural surroundings that sustained us. Thousands of years passed before humans developed the wheel. From there, small tribes became larger societies, then nations, then empires. The pursuit of survival became the pursuit of wealth, control, and prestige. To become the dominant species, we often ignored the fact that we were also damaging the planet that made our existence possible. If we accept the possibility that humanity may one day travel through time and space, then another possibility suggests itself. The so-called alien beings may be descendants of early humans or survivors of previous advanced civilizations that once existed on Earth. Perhaps these civilizations were destroyed with their own technology, misuse, or of resources, or environmental collapse. If such groups survived, they may have left Earth long ago. They may have adapted, evolved, and eventually gained the ability to return, not as gods, not as aliens, but as our own distant descendants. The day may come when life on Earth becomes impossible, or at least unsustainable. If that happens, humanity may be forced to leave this planet in search of a new existence. In time, we may become the very travelers that experiencers are reporting now. The John Titor story remains one of the better-known modern time travel claims. Around 2000, a person who called themselves John Titor appeared online and claimed to be an American soldier from the year 2036. He said he had been sent back to 1975 to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer, allegedly because it was needed to work with legacy computer systems in his future. The details about the IBM 5100 have always fascinated people. The machine was a real early portable computer introduced in 1975 and had technical capabilities that later became part of the debate surrounding Titor's claim. Some observers found the reference intriguing, while skeptics pointed out inconsistencies in the story, including conflicting references to the IBM 5100 and the IBM 5110. It is pointless to deceive ourselves. If humanity continues on its current path, a reckoning may eventually come. We may be forced to search for a better existence beyond Earth, and if that future arrives, then perhaps we will become the same travelers now, described as alien visitors, evolved humans returning through time to examine the world that created them. But is that possible, folks? Maybe, but I kind of hope we don't evolve into gray aliens. The Pleiadians? Well, that sounds, kind of awesome. They're very beautiful alien, or basically humanoid, or human folks. Basically supermodels, basically is what they'd be called. Either way, it's something to consider. So, is it possible, folks? Maybe. It would certainly be amazing. But what about the first story with the woman who was abducted and how terrifying it was, folks? Now, she says the alien beings that abducted her one time seemed to be angry with her. I've only heard of a few accounts where this was true, folks. One, where this boy was abducted by these alien beings, and after he failed a test, the alien beings were, angry with him for failing. Another account where this woman was abducted, and she was screaming, and this alien being, this gray, who was working on her back, says, "Why are you screaming? You remember being abducted before." At this point, because she could remember the past abductions, so why are you screaming? This alien being asked her. He seemed rather annoyed with her at that point. But with only one of the accounts basically being as terrifying as this particular woman's account, folks. And is it possible that gray aliens or reptilians or Pleiadians are us from the future, folks? It's mind-boggling if true. But until we know for certain, and we may never know for sure, folks, all we can do is just speculate on that fact. Either way, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Please make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Until next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.